The Mighty Whites podcast is recorded at the Don Bennison Recording Studio in Allerton Bywater. For more information, visit donbennison.com or email info@donbennison.com.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, once again full complement, joined by Connie.
Now then.
And from Portland, Casey.
How do?
Right, we'll get straight into stuff because we ain't got that much time. Work and stuff has been getting in the way a lot this week. Only 2 games to talk about that we've since his last podcast. First one was absolutely fucking abysmal. Leeds 0, Reading 1. Terrible. We were a bit unlucky in a way because we probably should have got a draw because they were shite and all. But yeah, just an awful game. Connie, what do you reckon?
I don't think I can really elaborate much more on what you've said. Crap from start to finish. Just, like I said, probably deserved a draw because they were awful as well. Just crap. I know we've spoke about, and also we might as well bring it up now, the non-event that were Pablo Hernandez's penalty.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it was just...
We're pass back.
Yeah. It was like if you could make a deliberate video of the term lack of conviction, it would have been that penalty. I've been struggling to think of a worse penalty that was on target.
Beckford's against Millwall. It's up there. Not saying it's as bad. Beckford's against Millwall.
That was pretty bad, yeah.
To be fair, the sound you'd associate with Pablo's penalties, okay, it's just him taking going, like that's what it felt. It's just like, as he's just stepped up, just couldn't be bothered hitting it. Yeah,
you're never going to get an Alan Shearer style approach to a penalty, are you, from Pablo Hernandez? It ain't going to happen, is it?
I know, but we saw the penalties he can take against Burnley. It's so nice, and then there was that.
Yeah, that was one of the annoying things in stand, actually. There was so many people around us going, oh, Pablo Hernandez, he's always been shit at penalties. Well, he scored every other one he's taken this season.
I think it added insult to injury and all that Mo Barrow scored.
It was always going to.
Yeah.
I'm sure that everyone who was sat next to someone or was the person in the ground, the second he came on, as happens every time someone's been shite at Leeds, came on, he went, oh, he's going to score.
Yep. And he did.
But he also, it wasn't just for goal. I mean, I think it was Phil Hay that put he did more in 20 minutes than he did in 5 months at Leeds United.
I think that's a bit harsh on him, to be fair.
I think it's about right.
We never gave him a chance to do anything when we had him on loan.
And with KC on this one, yeah, he didn't really get the chance to do or not do anything. Fell over a lot when he did play.
Yeah. But was there any redeeming features to this?
Liam Cooper's 100th appearance.
Yeah, that really slipped under net, didn't it? No one realised till afterwards.
No.
Because he put a thing on Twitter about 3 days later.
Yeah.
Because nobody had noticed, including him.
But I think it's a weird one though with Liam Cooper because in 20 game spells of out of his 100, fans have probably thought he shouldn't have been anywhere near team. And then in other cases, he's like, yeah, he's been playing. Yeah. But this season, yeah, he should be in. But it's an odd one, but fair play to him.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten how long he's actually been here for. Because he join along with every other foreigner we could get our hands on when in Massimo's first summer.
Yeah, it was just a couple of weeks later because he had most of his pre-season at Chesterfield before we signed him.
Got loads of foreigners and Billy Sharp and Liam Cooper. It's very odd.
But no, I mean, Cooper was fine. The two that really stood out to me there's one stood out as trying. Samu Saiz tried his goddamn best to create something in that game. But the only other two that stood out for me were Phillips and Lasogga, who both looked like they'd rather be anywhere else.
I've said before over Calvin Phillips, he's proved me wrong for the most part this season so far, but God, when he's bad, he's terrible.
Yeah, he played well against Bristol, which we'll come on to, but he was awful in that game.
Lasogga, that, again, I can't knock him bad in this game, because again, against Bristol, came back good, but this one, it were the sort of performance where you'd imagine Hamburg fans, if they saw it, had looked and thought, yeah, it's about right.
Yeah, what I wondered with the Lasogga performances, because it was fresh off the international break, I wonder if over those 2 weeks he'd been back and forth to Germany 4 or 5 times.
Possibly, yeah.
To see his missus and kid, and he just wasn't in any way right for playing.
No, possibly not.
Because he just kept not even jumping for headers and...
It was just half-arsed, is best way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah.
No offence to him, but yeah.
No much offence. That seemed to be the whole team, pretty much, like you say, outside of Saez. And going forward, we didn't create a lot. Like how they managed to get a 16-minute video together on LUTV of these half-assed attempts at goal is beyond me.
I'm surprised they had 1 minute 16, to be honest.
No. And then you see the penalty, you see the goal, and you're like, that's pretty much seemed to be all that happened that I really saw. A couple of half chances here and there, but there really wasn't a lot. I don't know. You know, Jack, you said that we're playing a team like Reading at home. That's the sort of game where you look to have Hernandez on, with taking the game to them a bit more. But this was really the time after losing a game like that at home when you start thinking, right, we need to change something a bit here.
Well, there was a couple of things changed. One thing that I nearly forgot to mention is this was the game, a change in goal. Mm-hmm. What did we all reckon?
I made my feelings clear on last one. I think it's Ash on Wiedwald. Not that Lonergan did much wrong.
No, I think the shirt's his to lose now. Now he's made the decision, but...
I just think it's Ash on Wiedwald, based on a few games where, we did ship a lot of goals, but out of all the goals that were shipped, a couple of them might have been his fault. I just think it's harsh on him. I've no against Andy Lonergan, but I said it in the last one. His confidence now could just go through the floor. We all said it's a big statement to drop your goalie. So hopefully he don't have too much of a bad effect.
I haven't seen, because I think the under-23s played earlier, if I'm right.
They did play earlier. They got beat 3-2 by Huddersfield. Our goals were Sarkic and Madga Gomez.
I was going to ask, do you know who was in goal? Because my only concern is I wouldn't put Wiedwald in goal in the under-23s because that would just completely shatter his confidence.
Yeah.
Right. Off the top of my head, I don't think he was, but I will just check. I think it was Will Huffer.
Yeah, that's what I'd go to. But yeah, that
I will check.
That's when.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, good.
It was
that's
Will
the thing
Huffer.
where he'd completely fall to pieces. A goalkeeper can really fall to pieces if you start putting him in the reserves. Then all of a sudden, it's a big statement. Whereas at least keeping him out of that, going, all right, and I'm all for saying, you want to create competition between your goalkeepers. But it was a tough decision to make, and I like Lonergan. He's solid. He's nothing spectacular. And I think there is something to be said about, playing for the shirt, but it was a tough one. But hopefully he has a good run now, and it's not the worst thing in the world if Lonergan keeps him out.
No, he's been fine in both games since he came back in. So now that he's in, it's his to lose. He'll do, and if he keeps playing the way he has been, he'll stay in, and that's fine. I do think it was harsh dropping him in the first place, but now it's done. It's done. So we just keep going with it. But the bigger change came in our second game, which we'll enjoy talking about a little bit more. On Saturday, 3-0 win away at Bristol City, where he finally changed the formation away from home. Finally brought in Vieira into midfield and played 3 centre mids. Now, Phillips did push on and basically almost play as a number 10. Yeah. So it wasn't much of a change in formation, but it was just enough. It just gave us that bit more steel in midfield.
Yeah, if you put... I know me and you especially have had conversations about this, Jack. I know there's a lot of competition for places in there, and I get that, but I think if O'Kane's on form, he's got to be the main starter in there. He's a good player in this league. But you've got 2 decent young players there in Phillips and Vieira. There's no harm in rotating it. And obviously, he played them both on Saturday. On Saturday even, and it worked. But yeah, it just allows Phillips to get in there, because I know he will go in with odd barnstorming tackle, but Vieira will do that all game, every game for you. It's not a problem to win. So yeah, I just think it's nice to finally see Christiansen realise that there is actually other ways of doing things.
Yeah, I thought Vieira pretty much dominated the midfield, and In fact, I can't remember what the exact quote was, but I think Christian said something very similar. Christensen said something after the game about how he was, really impressive. And
it's just, for someone so young as well, he's just so confident when he does win ball. And that, it's everyone knows it just boosts confidence for the rest of the team, doesn't it? And when you've got a young lad doing that, it can only be a good thing.
We also seem to be a bit more pragmatic with the ball.
Yeah.
Like, as past success rate was way down, but it's because we actually were willing to try and get back to front when the opportunity arose.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's again, I don't get too hung up on stats like that, on possession and stuff like that, shots on target. End of the day, it's results that matter, isn't it? And provided that it's effective what we're doing, I don't think anyone would be too concerned about that, would they, really?
No one's going to get annoyed if it's a 3-0 win away from home.
No.
I think it was good to see as well. I think, just talking about stats as well, I think it was something along the lines of O'Kane made the most interceptions in the game, and Vieira played the most passes and maybe had the most touches on the ball as well. Which is good to see when he comes back in, that there's some sort of visible evidence as well for what he's done. And Lee Johnson even said after the game that Vieira was his man of the match. And I know plenty of people have been, saying that he needs to get back in the team. And he definitely needs, even if he's not starting every game, there is an argument for him playing 1 in every 3 or 4 at least.
I'd have him playing the vast majority if it was me. Yeah. As it goes, Vieira's confirmed that he's been playing with a bit of an injury in his knee. So I can understand why he hasn't been playing, but when everyone's fit, I said before the season in an article on Through It All Together. There you go, Pete. But I said before the season that my two first choice midfielders would be Vieira and O'Kane, and I still think that's for 2.
Yeah, definitely.
And if we're going to play 3, then Phillips.
Yeah, but I think if you're going to go with, your 2 wingers and an attacking midfielder,
a proper number 10.
Yeah, and you're going to have the 2 holding, it's got to be O'Kane and Vieira. It's got to be. I don't think Phillips has got it in him, really, to play that. I don't think... It's going to sound harsh on him. I don't think he's disciplined enough to stay... to not hold back as such, but to sort of like have that sort of, restraint as such. He likes to get up there, and that's not a bad thing, but when you're playing your 2 holding, you don't need that.
Yeah, it sort of depends who we're playing against, doesn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, I know when I've seen
games like Burton earlier in the season, O'Kane and Phillips, because Phillips will get forward and you only need 1 deep midfielder in that game.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I was going to come to that then, but when we've done it against better teams in this league, I've seen it a few times, I'm sure you have yourself, where Phillips will push on and O'Kane's kind of being swamped. They'll break and he'll be like, shit, I've got 3 on 1 here, what do I do? And then obviously you see people getting dragged out of position, and fair enough, we aren't being punished for it every time, but if when you start playing your better teams, they're going to do that though.
Yeah. Well, there was a few interesting bits of team news for this. First of all, just to get this out of the way, we know Stuart Dallas. He's had a bereavement in family. I haven't actually seen confirmed who it is and stuff. I've seen a few things on Twitter, but I aren't going to say in case it's wrong. But just obviously, all of his sympathies go out to Stuart Dallas. Take all the time you need. And if we don't see you for a few weeks, it's fair enough. If what's being rumoured is what's happened, there's very few things in the world worse.
Christensen said the same thing as well. Take the time. There is no rush for you to come back. It's the best thing the club can do in a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, it must be awful. I mean, it's been confirmed he's definitely not back tomorrow, but no one expected him to be.
And it just puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Stuff like that. When all said and done, it's a game.
Well, I put on Twitter, it shows, there's more important things than football, even if come 3 o'clock on a Saturday, we might all forget that.
Yeah.
But the bigger piece of news, really, because that's away from football and that's just awful. The bigger piece of football news was he dropped Pontus Jansson.
Who says he's been shit?
He did. Well, I've got the quote here. I genuinely think that might be the reason that he got dropped instead of Cooper. Because Christensen, an interview with Christensen got played on BBC Radio Leeds just before the game. and he really didn't sound happy about Janssen speaking out on social media. It sounded really like, oh, it's good that he's been able to see the mistakes, but he doesn't need to be going out in public and talking like that. And what was it? Yeah, the last few weeks have been tough. Things haven't gone in the way we all wanted, and I personally have been shit.
See,
that to me, I mean, it just makes me like him more. But if it depends what Christensen said beforehand. If he said, don't go out on social media saying stuff like that, then don't go out on social media saying stuff like that.
I imagine that Christensen didn't expect something like that. You know, there's not many players. You know, you generally get players who, after a defeat, will come out and say, "Oh, you know, we're sorry for the disappointing performance today, but we'll come back strong." And you see that time and again. Very, very few times will you see players go on social media or anything like that and go, "Yeah, I've been awful. Like, I've been terrible." You know, it's always a case of the team will come back better.
He didn't do it with the same language, but Ewan O'Kane did the same after Sheff Wednesday.
Yeah.
He came out and said, I don't know what I was thinking with that pass. I just had a really bad day. Sorry.
I don't think, provided, as you say, Jack, there's not been a meeting taking place where they've said, look, your social media output is, you know, held back sort of thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that players will come out and hold their hands up. It's nice to see. It gives a bit of communication to fans, I think, more than all. Fair enough, I know Pontus put it a bit bluntly, but me personally, I think it's nice to see. It's refreshing for someone to just turn around and say, yeah, last few weeks things haven't gone great. I've played my part. I've been shy. Sorry. It's nice to see. At least he's man enough to admit it.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is, no one could really. A lot of people were surprised he was dropped, me included. I did think Pennington had come back in, but I thought they'd be Cooper that dropped out. But in his own words, he's been playing shit. It's fair enough to drop him.
Yeah, and you've got to give credit, given the resultant performance and everything, to Christensen for finally, you know, for having the balls to drop Pontus Jansson. It's well known, he's a fan favourite, probably the fan favourite, you know, up there with Sayers and Alioski. But it just shows that he's not going to put up with substandard performances, which isn't a bad thing.
It does make me wonder with him if every so often he just forgets himself behind closed doors. Because Gary Monk did the same, didn't he, before the Derby game, was it?
Yeah, a Derby.
Yeah, and he dropped him, and I mean, we won that game as well. But
played brilliantly that game.
But I think just every so often Janssen might just overstep it a bit behind closed doors.
I've said this in a previous podcast. Don't get me wrong, I think the man's brilliant. He's absolute quality in this league, and I think he's what we as a club need at the moment. We need more people like him. But if he didn't have that edge to him, and he didn't, you know, have that, it's few and far between, but it's a bit of kamikaze moments, we'll put it, he won't be playing for Leeds in Championship.
Yeah, true.
You know, it's harsh facts, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of people occasionally stepping out of line, Gaetano Berardi got sent off for headbutting someone in the face.
Poor Matty Taylor.
It really, in real time, it did not look like that much of a headbutt. It just looked like he kind of leaned in a little bit, not much to it.
The both did.
Yeah. But I've seen a couple of still images where it looks a little bit worse.
In all fairness, I just think Gaetano Berardi just thought, I've been in this position before, I've had my face bust open a couple of times, fuck this, it's your turn now.
I mean, I was speaking to Stan on the One Stream in Bristol podcast 2 hours after the game, and I'd listened to bits of it, hadn't really seen anything, gone on Twitter and seen like a Periscope video of the headbutt, so, you know, definitely not the clearest thing. And again, that sort of looked like he hadn't really, you know, gone in for a headbutt as such, that Taylor had got in his face and then kind of gone down very easily. Since then, it is clearer that he definitely went for him. But yeah, it was interesting talking to him. Like, yeah, it just seems like, you know, Taylor's put his head in there and then gone down, you know, looking a bit soft. And like, oh no, he has headbutted him. Well done, Gaetano.
Yeah, it's always that little bit of a bias you've got built in where you only realise when you see a replay.
Yeah.
My favourite example is us in the Podger watching the Tottenham FA Cup game when Danny Rose went down in box and we all there, get up, you diving bastard, and then watched replay. Oh, he's kicked him straight in bollocks there. That's
Oh, it's a penalty.
But
it's definitely a penalty.
But no, Berardi's headbutt got him sent off. Matty Taylor got sent off as well because he apparently stamped on him beforehand.
Now you see,
I haven't seen as clear a footage of that, to be honest.
No, I mean...
He kicked out.
The bits... I think there were a little bit... Yeah, Casey, I'm more with you on it. It almost looks a bit petulant. A silly little... If it had hit Berardi even, it were a nothing thing.
Berardi wouldn't have noticed.
No, to say that he stamped... I've not seen that.
Nah, it did look a bit harsh.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, yeah, Berardi's got to go. But... I think it would have tad harsh on Taylor.
Yeah. Well, Berardi, who'd have thought that the most violent thing he did would be before he turned up at the boxing?
Damn right.
Well, that brings us on to the news, and seeing as we've just mentioned it, we may as well start off with the non-Leeds United thing, but it is a Leeds United thing, really. Josh Warrington.
Good lad.
Good lad. Watch it. 10th round finish. Won me a few quid as well, because I had him by knockout or TKO.
Yep. Yeah, fair play to that lad.
Yeah.
I hope he gets his fight now at Ellen Road.
Yeah,
as well.
that Chelan looked decent, but no special. But yeah, that's the main one. Lee Selby at Ellen Road sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it'd be a good fight, definitely.
I'm not the biggest boxing guy in the world, but I think they'll get me money if that happens.
I was going to say, depending on when it is, I'd love to be there for that. Again, I've never been to boxing in my life, but yeah, I'd definitely love to go there. You see the atmospheres from these fights, and again, it is just like Leeds fans on a trip. They look so impressive. The sound is amazing. So I'd love to be there.
I've been saying for a long time since one of the first times I saw him, if he could end up like being a world champion, he could be Harry Keaton.
Oh, definitely. You see,
that I'm going to pay 10 grand to go to Vegas and watch him fight if he gets that big. I don't have that much money, but a lot will.
You see,
but we'll spend five grand on just a team trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
You see, I am more into the boxing and that, and the combat sport, and for a fight Selby at Ellen Road, that would be quite something. Would that? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But no, good lad. Well played.
I will say, from watching a couple of the videos that came out of that, Gaetano Berardi looked slightly confused just walking to the ring and holding the belt up.
Probably still concussed from Matty Taylor's nose.
You just saw him with the belt and he's kind of looking around. Do I hold this up now? Yeah, there you go. Look, belt. What do I do now? Do I just stand here? All right.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd one. He must have been really fired up at walkout to know someone. But basically, the day after we last recorded,
Yeah.
It all came out that we are officially looking at getting a new training ground. It's looking like the Matthew Murray School is going to be the site. Since the podcast, it's actually gone in front of the council and it's been given its initial approval, which is quite good to see. They said that they're hoping that the academy will be a Category 1 academy, because the plan also, by the time it would be ready for us to be a mid-table Premier League team.
Yeah.
But what do we think of moving away from Thorpe Arch and going a bit more central, a bit closer to the ground?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think Thorpe Arch is a brilliant facility, but it's been well documented that you're very limited to what you can do there.
Yeah, well, it was one of the best in the country 15 years ago, but we've stood still and the world's moved on.
It's not only that and all. There's not much, if any, scope to develop it, to do what else. And to be fair, they don't own it, and I can imagine it not being cheap to buy there. So why not bring it close to the ground? I don't think it's a bad thing. Get it back into Leeds as well, into more central Leeds, so to speak. Yeah,
I think it's interesting because we've been based there for a long time now, and that was Howard Wilkinson's pet project and his whole 10-year plan that he had in place, and then he got sacked 8 years into it. And around the time it would have been 10 years, that's when we saw Smith coming through, McPhail, Woodgate, and those players. So I think we have a strong attachment to Thorpe Arch, to the training ground, and in that regard, that we've produced a lot of youngsters over the years. And it will be a little bit sad in that regard that we're going to move away from there. But at the same time, like you say, if we want to move up, if we want to be competing for the best young players, because I think it barring some Bahraini billionaire turning up and pumping an absolute boatload of cash into us, I think we will always still look to try and bring a couple of young players in every couple of years. So we need those facilities, and so it'd be good to get it as up to date as we can, get it closer to the ground, more accessible for the players. It can only be a good thing for us, really.
Well, it was really annoying timing because we literally went on a 20-minute tangent about the academies in EPPP and all of that stuff.
I can go on for longer. I don't mind.
But no, the main thing is that we would be Category 1, so people wouldn't be able to just come in and nick us players to the same extent, and we would be able to nick other teams' players.
Yeah. Sorry, Bradford.
Which, although I still, in principle, that's still wrong. If it's going for us, I'll be a lot less bothered. There's a couple of on-the-pitch bits of news. Bailey Peacock-Farrell's finally got his loan move. It's a month in the Conference North. But at this time of year, there's only that hot conference. You can't loan to anyone in Football League anymore. So
no, and I suppose, it's not ideal for me, him going down to non-league, but it's York City.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of turmoil at club, consecutive relegations, but especially in that league, they're a big club.
Well, the two of yours' geography is better than mine, but York's closer to Thorpe Arch than Ellen Road.
Yeah, a lot closer.
And also, as much as it's not the greatest standard of football, it's better than under-23s.
Well, it's competitive football, isn't it? At a semi-decent level, you know what we mean?
At least, if he is going to play in Conference North, at least it's a big club.
There's something on the line in those games. The under-23s, at the end of the day, if we won the under-23s, everyone would kind of go, oh, that's good. Anyway, whereas, he's playing in front of, fans in league games, where if he cocks up, people will get on his back, and I hope that doesn't happen. But his performances do matter in those games. Whereas, I can remember a few years ago when Andy Robinson used to score like 9 goals in a reserve team match, and it would just be completely ignored. He wouldn't get any close to the first team, and so at least out there, however he does, at least he's getting that experience now of what it's like to play in these games that matter to the people surrounding him in the stadium. And again, that can only be a good thing for him.
With it being York City as well, especially in Conference North, there's an expectation there. It's a big club for that level. So
massive for that level.
Yeah. So it is in a way, it is a good thing because he is going to have some degree of pressure on him. So it's just nice to see him get out, though, and get some games under his belt. So hopefully it all goes well. Hopefully it gets extended. And good luck to him.
You make it sound like he doesn't like getting out of the house. He's been too busy playing on his PlayStation to play. His mum's going, no, go to York. Go play some football. Go on. I know you don't know anyone there, but go play with them. You've been in the house too long.
York's a bit posh. His name's Bailey Peacock-Farrell. Yeah. He'll fit right in.
All right, his nanny asked him to go out.
Get off that PlayStation with Hadi Sacco and leave the house.
Right, the other piece of on the pitch news that we probably won't even spend that much time talking about because there is, well, apart from some of the idiots you see on Facebook, no one is against it. New 4-year deal, Luke Ayling.
Brilliant.
Hey!
He's probably my favourite player. I've made it well known. I think he's quality. I rate him personally up there with Danny Mills. He is absolutely fucking brilliant, is Luke Ayling. I will not hear a word wrong said about the man. Good work.
Now, he's one of my favourites. He is my girlfriend's favourite.
His girlfriend, who continually threatens to molest me and nick my Luke Ayling shirt.
Maybe not molest. Maybe attack.
I don't know.
Maybe that's a better word.
It's all in the eyes, Jack. It's all in the eyes.
Oh, dear.
Sarah, no!
Mr. Simpson, no! Oh. Dramatisation may not have actually happened. Well, that's a bit of a
Fucking hell,
tangent.
that escalated quickly from Luke Ayling.
Well, I guess from here on out we'll have to refer to Connie as the gummy Venus de Milo.
Sweet de Milo.
Sweet Ken. Right, that's enough Simpsons references. We're going to turn into OSW. Which would actually be a great thing, but...
Kill for their numbers.
Yeah, it's all about the engagement. Right, one thing that we do need to bring up, actually, on a much more serious note, that we should all try and get involved with. In fact, I'll have to remember to do it after we've done recording. Leeds have announced that One Day for Toby initiative that's going to be on day at Sheffield United game. I would go on the Leeds website to get the full details of it and everything, but basically there's a young Leeds fan, Toby Nye. He's got neuroblastoma, and the NHS, due to all the various things that happen with the NHS that we don't need to get into, at the minute his treatment's not going to be covered. So everyone from Leeds, from like the foundation, from office staff, players, everyone, and Acer, which is Radzani's big company that owns us, everyone's donating 1 day's salary on for Friday, 27th of October. Obviously, donating a salary like that is easy for them to do because they're involved. It's more difficult for us. But if you text Toby, LUFC, capital T on Toby, all caps LUFC, to 70660, then you can donate a £5. And although we don't have that many people listen to us, it would make a difference if a few of you did. So we all will be. It's a really good thing. And although it's a bit of a serious turn from the various Simpsons references, I really hope that everyone helps out with it because it's a really important thing to happen. And if the NHS does end up covering his treatment, which might happen, then it's all going to some other kids who have similar issues. So it in no way can be conceived as a bad thing.
No, it's awful to wear that, 4-year-old kid like that. We saw it the same way young Bradley, didn't we, as well? It's awful to see. So all that club can do, yeah, it's a good thing, definitely. And good luck to the little man as well. Yeah,
it's nice to see the club doing something like this, and it's a good way to get everyone together as well, and do some good for the community. I know the club does a lot on the whole, but see this sort of effort going in is great to see. I don't know if you guys have seen actually the charity has been set up. There's a number of different athletes now who they're planning on trying to get as many players and from different sports as well together to try and donate a day's salary to raise, among a load of money as they can amongst athletes.
Oh yeah, this is the one that Juan Matt is involved with, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did see a little bit about it.
Yeah, they've got a few players involved already. I think there's one or two more popping up. And it'd be good to see something like that take off because, footballers, especially once you're in the Premier League, La Liga and those divisions, then you are earning a lot of money, and you just think of what one day's wages could do for those for those kids and other charities and things like that. It'd be a great thing to see if more players can get involved with stuff like that.
Yeah, well, obviously that's a really good thing as well, but I'm just going to reiterate it just so everyone knows. Toby LUFC to 70660. I hope a few of you do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're absolutely skint at minute and stuff, it's perfectly fine if you don't. But just if you can spare a £5, spare a £5. Right, well, on to his previews. Unlike the last one where we only had 2, there's 4 games to get through today. I'll just mention, because I forgot to talk about it earlier, and if we get this wrong, someone correct us on Twitter, because we never actually wrote down what our predictions were for the last game. But I think that we all had us to beat Reading and we got beat, so we all get no points. And I think me and Connie had a draw against Bristol, so we get nothing. But I think Casey had a 1-0 win, so he gets 2 points.
Do you know, I think I actually had 1-0 win.
You might have. Basically,
I said it'd be a tough game, but I think we'll scrape it 1-0.
Maybe it was... fuck knows then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that I had us drawing 2-2. At least I'm 90% sure. But we'll go back and check it, and someone will tell us on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But tomorrow night, because we're recording this Monday, and there is a small chance this podcast might not get out till Wednesday if work gets in the way, but we should be out before the game. Leicester away, Carabao Cup. They've sacked their manager.
Yeah, a bit of an odd one for me. It was a bit of an odd appointment anyway, but I just... bit odd. It's a strange one. Yeah. I haven't got much more to add to that.
No, it seems a little harsh, doesn't it, again? But
yeah.
I mean, I remember I was listening to a 5 Live show, I think last week, and Michael Appleton was on it, who I believe it's Michael Appleton that's taken over as caretaker.
Yeah, he's caretaker.
Yeah.
I quite like him, so I wish him all the best. But
Except tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, they won away at Swansea at weekend, which was a decent enough result. I've asked this every round at League Cup, so to ask it again, do you care yet?
No.
What do you reckon? If we got through this one,
I'd start to pay a bit more attention to it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
What round are we on now? The 4th?
fourth.
Is this fourth off? Right. Port Vale, Newport,
Burnley.
fourth round.
Fourth round, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the quarterfinals next.
Yeah, I think for the club where we're at the moment, if we were to get to quarterfinals, then I'd
start taking
maybe
it
start to
seriously.
thinking, yeah, let's give it a go. But at the moment, no. If we get beat tomorrow night, I won't be.
No. A thing to mention, by the way, they are doing a beam back at the ground. So, I mean, I'll be honest, it's on ESPN3 in America and on loads of TV channels, so I'm probably just going to watch. So I'm probably not going to... I'm not going to go to beam back. I'll watch it at home, probably with my dad for a few minutes.
Lunchtime cider for me.
But they haven't been putting out the strongest teams either. I mean, they beat Liverpool 2-0 in last round.
You got to think as well, like the situation they're in at the moment, as good as it would be for them to win the League Cup, their biggest concern at the moment will be getting as far away from the relegation zone as possible.
Yeah, you would think so. If they put out a similar team to what they did in last round, it'll be stronger than ours, but it's not unbeatable.
And I don't think it'll be much stronger. Yeah, you look through that team, there's
a bit of strength up front.
Yeah, Joel and Slimani have got it in them to cause problems. Damari Gray, bit of pace. That'd be my worry. If he switched flanks and we play Vernon and Eater, that'd be a big worry.
It's got to be Anita or Borthwick Jackson because Berardi's suspended for 3 games.
I'd go with Borthwick Jackson. If Damari Gray plays, it's got to be Borthwick
Jackson. I think
Jackson.
it will be Borthwick Jackson because I think Anita's going to play Friday night against Sheffield United, so I think it will be Borthwick Jackson against Leicester. And he needs a performance.
Well, you also look at, like, getting back to this Leicester team from last round. Wilfred Ndidi, decent player. Mark Albrighton's not bad. But they have got some, relatively unknowns in there in terms of, we're talking about champions from 2 years ago. Yeah. So
you won't be scared if they rotate their defence, the stuff that they've got behind, Morgan and Maguire.
Yeah.
After that, they ain't got much depth, so you won't be worried about what they've got there.
Yeah. Looking at that line-up there for defence, Amati, Morgan, Dragovic, Ben Chilwell. We've got.
I like
players
Chilwell.
There. He's a good player, but I don't think he's so good that we can't get at him if he plays. Ben Hamer is decent enough goalie, but
it's solid.
Yeah, so if they played that team, it's not unbeatable by any means.
No.
I want to know how Wes Morgan is still Premier League centre back. To this day, I cannot understand it.
He captained the team to title.
I saw Johnny Howson cause him problems in the Championship.
Yeah, we also saw him nearly take Johnny Howson's head off.
Yeah. What, when he nearly strangled him?
Yep.
I'm away. No, you're not.
No. So basically, the main thing to think about with this is, well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I was wondering how strong a team you'd play, but the first thing I thought is, would you play Wiedwald or Lonergan?
Wiedwald. You got to keep him involved. If Lonergan's going to be playing in the league, then for me, Wiedwald plays in the cup games at least to get him game time.
You see, I disagree with you on that one. I'd stick with Lonergan. If he's going to play Lonergan for now, stick with him.
I'm with Connie on this because
He's made the statement now.
it's mainly because the one player who isn't going to get tired is the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And although we rotated earlier in the season, I just think that Lonergan's only played a couple of games in a row, and I think he could still do with the game time.
Yeah.
If Lonergan had been playing for the last 6 games, I'd play Wiedwald.
Yeah.
But
I
because
just
it's
think
only 2.
Yeah, it's a bit close to him making the call. And I just think it'd send out wrong sort of message to both of them, to Lonergan and Wiedwald. So I'd go with Lonergan.
Christensen in his press conference today made a lot of noises that sounded like Jansen's going to start, which means that, and I mean, as it should be, it'll on Friday night against Sheffield United, it'll be Pennington and Cooper again.
Well, you can't really change that team from that performance at Bristol in the league.
No.
For me, you can't.
So
unless
I would
it's
think,
forced.
So what do we think, Jansen and Shaughnessy
Yeah.
at centre back?
I hope so. It'd be good to see those two. I like seeing Connor Shaughnessy get some game time in. That's not how you say it, is it?
You know, apparently, and Connie will probably know better.
Shaughnessy.
It's like Shocknessy, isn't it? It's like there's a.
Yeah.
I still think Ayling will play because Ayling's played every game.
Yeah, and he's just got the engine to do it, and you just leave Luke Ayling to it.
So yeah, so we reckon. Well, we split on the keeper.
Yeah.
And then Ayling, Jansen, Shocknessy, Borthwick Jackson.
Yeah.
We reckon.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be 3 in midfield like it was, or do you reckon it'll go back to 4-2-3-1?
I think 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think he'll go back to it.
And I think you'll see Click come back into the midfield.
Yeah. I think you'll see Click. I think Phillips will play. I don't know if Sayers and Alioski will play.
I don't think Size will. I'm pretty sure Size won't.
I think Saka will get a run out if he's fit.
Maybe Madka Gomez?
Possibly.
I'm going to say no. Madka Gomez played for the under-23s today
Oh, okay.
and scored, but he played like 90 minutes, so I don't see him playing.
Right. I was just going to ask, did he go off after like 60 minutes or something?
No, I think he scored. I think he scored quite late on. And he started, so I don't think he'll be playing. Basically, I think Click will definitely come into midfield. I think Saka will play outright.
Yep.
I think Hernandez will play at 10 because I don't think Hernandez will play against Sheffield United.
I wouldn't play him against that, so yeah, I'd go with that, yeah.
And Roof?
And then
Roof,
probably Roof on the other wing, yeah. And then Grot up front. Although, will he play Kibitsky instead of Roof?
I was about to say that.
I think Kibitsky could get a run out.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have options, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not one player there that we've mentioned about coming in who you automatically think, oh, shit, you know.
Yeah. One of the most interesting things to see will be if any of the youngsters met the squad. I looked at the under-23s today, and that regularly get a game, there were 4 didn't play. Kun Temenishkov, Osama Siddiqui, Hugo Diaz and Adrian Balboa. People who watch the under-23s more than me said Diaz and Balboa have missed a few games anyway. Yeah. So they weren't expected. And Temenishkov has dropped to the under-18s a couple of times.
Right.
So from what they said if Siddiqui's not playing, they reckon there's a decent shot of him being on bench.
I won't be too opposed to it if he's on bench.
Did we ever mention is it the Guardian piece about the 50?
We didn't mention that on air. I think we just spoke about that privately.
Because he got a mention in that.
Kun Temenishkov, that is.
Yeah.
Yes. Is one of the best rated players under 20. Oh no, is it born after 2000 or something like that?
I think it was born after 2000, I believe.
But I mean, over summer we seem to have, gone big into getting players for his under 23 squad.
Even though the record hasn't been that great, but it's a long process,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we said in pre-season that, if 2 out of this batch of youngsters that we've got turn out to be somewhat like, we've done well. But if we've got them in here, and it's a competition that we're not really taking too seriously. We're just seeing how we go with a supposed second string. I won't be too opposed to seeing likes of Siddiqui and anyone else who we chooses to throw in there on bench. I think it's worth a shot.
I must admit, before I saw that under-23 team, I thought Madga Gomez had been involved because he's played all right in all the games he has played.
Yeah, when we've been to cup games early on in season, when we had the 2 at home against Port Vale and Newport, he played okay. He didn't do all wrong, did he?
But no, obviously we're not that bothered, but what do you reckon score-wise? I'll let KC go first this time.
I'm going to say making a lot of changes. They've got a new manager. I'm going to say we're going to lose this one 1-0.
I think it'll be higher scoring than that, and I do think we'll score up against that defence. But I am still going to say we get beat, and I'm going to say we get beat 2-1.
I'm going to say we draw in 90 minutes.
What score?
1-1.
So 1-1's your prediction.
Yeah.
But do you think we'll do them?
Yeah, on penalties.
Penalties again?
Yeah. Based on the 90 minutes, which is what we're doing the predictions on. Draw.
Cool. Right, well, away from that onto what is a massive game. Friday night on Sky.
Yeah.
Home to Sheffield United. They've won 4 of the last 5. They got beat by Forest in the middle of it. Sheffield United, who I tipped to go up that playoffs this season.
Which my dad agrees with you wholeheartedly on, by the way.
I think they've got a solid squad with a couple of standouts.
Yeah.
They're a really good side. Third v fourth going into it. It's a massive game.
When you look at how they've done this season, I know we've seen teams come up from League One and go straight through. I'm not saying they're gonna, but we've seen it happen. But it does make you wonder why they were down in League One as long as they were. Well, it's 6 or 7 years.
Was it that long?
They went down our first year back up in the Championship, and they've only just come back up this season.
Jesus,
because they signed Doyler.
Yeah.
After we'd had him on loan, and then I think in the January they signed Neil Collins.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it just makes you wonder how it took them that long to get back up.
Now there must have been a lot of behind the scenes stuff that a Sheffield United fan would probably be able to tell us about. But
well, I mean, if you remember just that season they went down, they sacked Blackwell about 3 games into the season. Then they appointed Gary Speed. Gary Speed didn't have a good run of it, and then he got appointed Wales manager, which I think was best for both of them.
Yeah,
and then it's been amazing to see someone like Sheffield United, who, if nothing else, have been a staple of the Championship for a few years and always been there or thereabouts for promotion. Spent that season up in the Premier League, to then be in League One for so long was crazy. They are. As much as I dislike them, they should be in the Championship at least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has to be said, Chris Wilder's doing a brilliant job there.
There was something mentioned about him on one of the various football shows. When there's jobs coming up, like an IN Championship job, like, a decent club.
Leicester could do a lot worse.
I think this is the point that they were getting at, saying, Chris Wilder's doing a belting job down there. Why is his name not even being mentioned? It's, but yeah, it's massive game. Toughen again, like most are. But
Connie, I don't know if you'll remember this. It was either our first or second season in the Championship after we'd been relegated from the Premier League. Did we have a Friday night game against Sheffield United then? Or was that a Thursday night game?
No, I remember watching that quite vividly in the Oak, which is now apartments up in Kippax. Wasn't that the one when Fraser Richardson scored?
Yeah, he went on a bit of a run and smashed one.
Yeah, I remember.
I can remember that goal, but I don't remember whether it was a Friday night or not.
Yeah, it was on Sky. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right on that one.
Yeah, I think we lost that one 2-1, didn't we?
That's right, because if I remember rightly, if my memory serves me right, Fraser Richardson's goal put us 1-0 up.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Just had a glance at their squad earlier. It's they've got that American lad that's rated really highly, that Cameron Carter-Vickers from Spurs, who I know that a lot of people who have seen him a lot rate. I'm assuming that if they would have actually qualified, they'd have had a decent shot at going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Can I just 2 points on that as well? One, it is hilarious that America haven't qualified for a World Cup when you see some of the teams they play. Did Panama qualified ahead of them?
Yep.
And secondly, I don't know if you guys caught any of the MLS results from yesterday.
I didn't catch any.
The Timbers beat the Vancouver Whitecaps at home in the final league game of the season to win the Western Conference.
Lovely
and
stuff.
And the Cascadia Cup, which is contested.
Is Andy O'Brien still out there?
No, because he was knocking on when he was with us, wasn't he?
Yeah. Ridgewell's still there, though, isn't he?
Yeah, Ridgie scored. Got himself a goal. Did his Ridgie roll?
Ridgie scored. Jesus.
Love a bit of Leon Ridgewell. Bless him. Yeah, so they book themselves a spot in the playoffs, and
stupid.
The big thing was, the
Spot Leeds Rhinos. No, they're not. God damn it. Go to the playoffs. It's fine.
Who'd have thought a Rhinos fan would be in favour of the playoff system? But yeah, and the Timbers also won the Cascadia Cup, which is contested between the Timbers, Seattle Sounders, and Vancouver, which is quite nice. You can actually see it in FM. They have like these regional sort of cups that they contest as well, which is quite a nice little extra for the season.
So what you're saying is they've won that thing that like Scum and Man City send the reserves to play against Bury and stuff like that.
No, because this is actually incorporated into league games.
Oh, they actually do it through that. It's not like when Stalybridge Celtic win because Man U have sent the under-16s reserve side.
Yeah, they incorporate it. Like I said, I think they do this across the different areas of the league as well. So they kind of group a couple of teams together. I could be entirely wrong, but if you look on Football Manager, I know it's registered on there as well as an actual trophy. And yeah, they use the league standings of the games between the 3 or 4 teams, however many it is in each region that compete for them. So yeah.
Weird.
Nice.
Although for any football nerds out there, I believe the beta for Football Manager's out on Friday.
Cool.
But shall we get back to Sheffield United?
Yeah.
It's his first major diversion of the podcast.
When did Ched Evans arrive? I completely missed this.
Thank you. I said the same.
I
missed
believe
it.
they signed him in about May and it went through on the opening day at transfer window. I think they paid about £500,000 for him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
In hush money, allegedly.
We won't pass any comments about Ched Evans. That was just an interesting move.
We'll ignore it.
Yeah, please move on. There's so much going on here.
Yeah. No, in fairness, they have got a lot of depth up front because they've got Evans, obviously, and they've got James Hansen, big lummox he is from Bradford.
Friend at podcast Mark Young will be happy about that, though. Loves a bit of James Hansen, does Mark Young. But
they've also got Clayton Donaldson, who's a big Leeds fan, so he'd be up for it if he's playing. Leon Clark and Billy Sharp. And Leon Clark looked really good against Sheff Wednesday when I watched him.
It's weird, isn't it?
Looked like he were back to him from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's weird with him, isn't it? When he was at Wolves, a few years ago, he looked the part, didn't he? And then he just seemed to have lost his way a little bit. But
didn't he end up down at Swindon when Di Canio were there?
Yeah.
And he got booted out of the club.
Yeah, he had a ding-dong with him, didn't he? When he either got subbed or sent off. There was summer, and they had a bit of a bust-up on touchline. But, yeah, you look at that for, a strike force.
Wow.
There's goals in there.
I'm just looking at Leon Clark's playing career at the moment. It's a long list. Do you want to hear this? This is an impressive list.
I know he's big on falling out with managers, so it doesn't shock me that he's moved about a bit.
Well, he's big on loans as well. So between 2003 2007, he was at Wolves with loans at Kidderminster, QPR, and Plymouth. 3 years at Sheffield Wednesday with 2 loan spells at Oldham and Southend United.
Totally forgot he'd been at Sheff Wednesday.
He was there
one year at QPR, which also had a loan spell at Preston. 1 year at Swindon, which had a loan move to Chesterfield. 1 year at Charlton, which had 3 loan moves: Crawley, Scunthorpe, and Coventry.
I thought you were only allowed to represent 2 teams in a year.
Well, there you go.
It's the emergency loan window for you.
Yeah.
Permanent move to Coventry for a year. Permanent move to Wolves for a year. A year at Wigan.
He did well there.
Oh, sorry. While he was on loan at Wolves, a loan to Wigan. A year at Bury. And now he's at Sheffield United.
I don't remember him being at Wigan.
Oh, journeyman striker.
Yeah.
The one player of theirs that I do want to bring up and I haven't seen that much of him. I've only seen him play 2 or 3 times, but every single time he stood out. That David Brooks, that young kid in midfield, signed him off Man City. What I didn't realise until I was looking earlier was that he won player at tournament, at the Toulon tournament, which of course Vieira played in, and got called up to Wales squad for the last qualifiers, but they didn't play him, and there's a thought that England might try and nick him because he's eligible for both. Yeah. But he looks really good.
Yeah, I'm just looking here now, and it's just signed a new 4-year deal as well. So
have they tied him down?
Yeah,
that's a good move for them because I could see someone buying him.
Yeah, I mean, just the players that we've mentioned, you know, the Cameron Carter-Vickers, the David Brooks, whoever they decide to go with, even out of them strikers.
You would think if he's fit, they'll pick Sharp because he'll be well up for it.
Well, yeah, he's got a point to prove, and I maintain. I've said about Billy Sharp, we got linked with him for so long, and then we sign a proven goal scorer and just don't play him.
Just didn't play him.
Yeah, you know,
he joined at the worst time as well, with all that upheaval that was going on there, with all these random foreigners who were turning up. He couldn't have turned up at a worse time to play for us.
No, you like to think that if he'd have left it a year or 2, you know, he'd have done a job. He's doing a job for Sheffield United. He's done a job all his career in this league, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player. He always has been.
Yeah.
But despite them being in really good nick and me fancying them to go up, there's got to be a reaction in terms of home performance from that terrible one against Reading. So I do think we'll do them.
Yep.
I think 2-0.
Cool. I think we'll do them, but I think they'll score. They've got goals in that strike force, definitely. I'm going to go with 3-1. Big crowd. Should be up for it, like you say, after that Reading game. 3-1 leads.
Yeah, I would assume it'll sell out because I believe that a decent number had been shifted already, despite it being on telly. I think it's
into the 30s now, isn't it? Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, 3-1 leads for me.
I am going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Cool.
Fair enough. Well, from one team that's in pretty good form to another one that's in pretty decent form, at home to Derby the Tuesday after. Obviously, us playing Friday means we don't get much rest because we're playing Tuesday then Friday. But as it'll be a heavily rotated team, it shouldn't matter too much.
No.
But then we get a little bit of extra rest for this one because we're playing Friday, Tuesday instead of Saturday, Tuesday. Derby in 9th. But they're unbeaten in the last 5. They've won the last 2. 3 draws before that. If we could play like we did against Derby last season, that'd be nice. At home.
Play half as well as we did against them last year, we'll beat them. Definitely. They've got it in them, though, aren't they? They're one of them teams, Derby.
They've got some quality, like they...
You know, if they turn it on, they've got the ability to beat anyone in this league.
The last time I watched them play 90 minutes, because I didn't watch the Forest game, they battered Hull.
Not when Brothers scored.
Yeah, I think he scored twice, actually.
Yeah, he did.
Like 5-0. And Hull weren't good, don't get me wrong, but they looked really good. They've got so much threat up front. Because I think in that game, Vidra scored a couple and he played really well. And they've got that Tom Lawrence, who I would have loved us to sign if he wants £7 million.
Yeah.
But he's a cracking player.
You look at the rest of them as well, you know. Chris Martin, bags of goals in this league. Darren Bent, knocking on a bit.
Depends
now,
what version of him shows up.
Yeah. Sam Winnell, good player. Yeah. Andy Vyman, again, solid. Vidra, again, if the right version of him shows up, he can change the game.
He's as good as any striker in this league.
Yeah. And Nugent's just one of them. It reminds me a little bit of Sheringham. He's just got a knack of being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
The amount of goals I've seen him score that have gone in off his fucking knee or his shin, he's just got a knack of being there, hasn't he?
Yeah. And his goal for England.
Damn right. 100% record.
They, you look at their squad and they should be doing better than they are.
Yeah, definitely.
That's been the story for a couple of years now, though. And you know, when they were signing the likes of Johnson and before that, they've had a good team. They've put money into that team for a few years now, and how they haven't been promoted in the last couple of years is incredible. You know, every year, every year you've gone into playing them, and they look so strong, and yet they never seem to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, you look for as I say, in midfield, obviously Bradley Johnson, who we know all about. Ikechi Anya, who can play fullback as well, but I would say more as a midfielder. He's a good player. Tom Huddleston, who I know he's not got that many legs now, but
still a good player.
It's only 18 months ago we were looking at England squads and stuff like that. Yeah. And they've signed Joe Ledley in September, who we kept saying, how has he not got a club yet?
Yeah.
But apparently the deal's only till January, so I think he might have some... I know he had a bad knee injury, maybe people are a bit scared of it. And then at back, signed Curtis Davies over at summer, completing his tour at Midlands.
Yeah.
He's quality, is Curtis Davies. I know he's
in
getting on a little
Championship
bit.
He can be.
He's such a good player. I mean, I think it was probably not the last World Cup. I think it was the World Cup before that when I was looking. And you looked at England's choice of central defenders, and I just remember at times going, I'm amazed that Curtis Davies hasn't got a call up just out of he's English. He's not the worst defender in the world. But I mean, to have him in the Championship, he's quality.
You look for the rest of it as well. Jason Shackle, proven at this level. Alex Pearce, good signing. I think he came from Reading, if I remember rightly, but decent player. Chris Baird, bit of a wily old head, really, but you need that in this league. And Andre Wisdom, he's another quality.
Yeah. Well, Andre Wisdom won the league last year.
Yeah.
I nearly said Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg. So he won the Austrian league last year.
And also, old boy Scott Carson in goal, who again seems to have carved out a pretty solid championship career for himself.
Yeah, mind you, he always looked a good keeper, didn't he? So.
Yeah.
Man, he should be. He's got fucking 20 caps for England or whatever.
Except against Croatia.
Yeah.
I know when to play this keeper who's not got much international experience. The one game we must win.
But no,
but he's good as Carson.
No, he is. He's a good keeper.
Yeah. I was talking in summer to you, wasn't I? And I said if Silvestri goes, before we ended up getting Wiedwald, I said if Green goes and Silvestri ends up going, which it would always on cards, I said if the price were right, I'd have had Carson back.
It's kind of a weird... Because didn't Carson end up going to Liverpool so cheap because the club legitimately forgot to give him a new contract?
Yep.
And Kevin Pressman came in briefly as our number 2.
Yeah.
And Rami Shaban on trial.
There is a proper reference, is Rami Shaban.
Damn right.
But no, it's another game that'll be tough. And this is a weird one because I really don't know what to go for on this. And when I don't know, I say 3-1 Leeds. So 3-1 Leeds. I'm
going to go for, despite them having all that threat, I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds.
I'm going to go 2-1. I've still got memories of the win against Derby at Ellen Road last season. I think that was one of the games I was back for, and we watched that together. Oh, that was good.
Me and you watched that one. We were brilliant in that game. Pablo Hernandez seemed to do about 25 nutmegs. It was probably like 4, but in my head it's...
When you said then I was watching it with you, I was there.
Yeah, we'd wound Bradley Johnson up a fair bit. What's his hairstyle at the moment? What's he rocking?
He's lost the top knot now. He looks semi-normal again. He's not back to his skinhead, I'll never lose a header days, but he's getting there. He's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, hopefully we can get an own goal out of your boy, KC.
Yes, FM07 boy Richard Keogh.
It's already screwed up and cost him promotion in playoff finals. So. Yeah. Anyway, the last one to preview on this podcast, and it's followed by an international break. So we may make it a 3-week gap because KC may be back in the country by then.
Hey.
And then, actually, we're thinking when he's back, we might for a few weeks do one a week if we can swing it. If you would rather we did that, let us know on Twitter, @MightyWhitesPod.
Should probably say and all that...
We're not making any promises. Work might get in the way, but we're looking at maybe doing that.
And if we did, there'd be like maybe specials, wouldn't there, or something like that? Or...
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, a trip that's always tough. That last one, Brentford away. They're unbeaten in 5 games as well, and they're unbeaten in 6 in league. They got knocked out of cup in last round. But there has been plenty of draws in that.
It's a hell of a run of fixtures, this, with the form these teams are in.
Yeah. Well, in the league, they've had 15 games between them and lost one. But,
so yeah, let's get them all out of the way in one run then.
Yeah, this one's on Sky as well. Anyway, 5:30 kickoff. They nearly managed to get beat by Sunderland at weekend, though 3-1 down, and drew 3-3, and that's an achievement because Sunderland have been bloody awful. But Brentford are a bit of a weird case this year. They're a bit lower down in league, and they lost a lot. We've mentioned it before, the Birmingham game, how Birmingham nicked half the team. They have got a really tough one. They lost Hotter and Harley Dean and Maxime Collin to Birmingham. They lost a couple of others as well. And Rico Henry's done his knee and might be out for like the season.
Yeah.
A player who's seen as we're struggling at left back, if he wasn't injured, is a player I'd be wanting. Him or Joe Bryan. Even though we beat Bristol, I thought Joe Bryan looked pretty good.
Yeah, it looked solid. And we were linked with Rico Henry as well, weren't we?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah.
But yeah, they've got a squad that I'd say is solid but not special.
They're a totally different proposition at home. It's one of them, isn't it, with them, like you touched on, we haven't got a good record at Brentford. If it were Elland Road, I'd be pretty confident. Yeah. But there's just something about them at their place. They seem to, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you're right on top of them. You're right on top of pitch. It's tight in. It's a tough one. Yeah. And they've got a good goalie and all. I've just been looking at Daniel Bentley is a good goalie. We were talking about him, weren't we?
Was it when was he at Southend?
Southend, that's the one. I mean, they had a good goalie before in David Button as well, didn't they? But yeah, it's like Lasse Vibe. He's a good player. Scores a few goals as well. I didn't realise that either, that they've got Ollie Watkins from Exeter.
He had a good year last year. I know it's a lower level, but he seemed to pop up at bottom of a Soccer Saturday every week.
I mean, I don't know how much we've looked into it, but if that won a huge fee, it's worth a punt, definitely. Yeah.
I don't, off the top of my head, know how much, but I wouldn't have thought it's any more than £1 million.
No, you wouldn't have thought. Alan Judge is still there and all, isn't he? He's a decent player.
Always seems to do well against us.
Yeah.
One that plays who always does well against us has gone as well. That is it Alan McCormack?
Yeah, Alan
the right
McCormack.
back. I think he dropped down leagues a bit this year because he was getting on a bit, but he always seemed to do well against us.
Yeah.
Did McEachran, is he on loan or has he moved there now?
I believe it became permanent in the summer.
Yeah.
Because he was on loan there last year, wasn't he?
That's right. Because I think you've always been a bit of a admirer of his, haven't you, up to recently, haven't you?
Poor man's Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have had injuries, he'd have been a lot better than he was. Because there was a point where McEachran looked like being a no-beater.
Well, there was talk of him on the brink of getting in the Chelsea squad, wasn't there, at
he
one
did
point?
play. He played a bit.
I missed that.
Not loads, but he got a look in.
So he's got summit.
It's just me as well. Sergi Canos has the name of a player who probably came in on loan to us in Chilino's first summer in charge.
Well, we nearly signed him last season.
He's got a foreign name. Get him in.
Sergi Canos, though, it was Norwich who was leaving, wasn't it? I believe.
Yeah, could be.
But we were linked to him, but I think that because it was before Radrizzani bought the club, I think that we wanted a loan deal and they wanted to sell him permanently, so he went there. I'm like 90% certain that it was Norwich.
Yeah, that's going to be another tough game.
No, I've just checked. It was Norwich, I'm glad.
That was the other question I was going to ask you. I might be wrong. Was it Brentford? Again, I keep bringing up Chilino in this one. Is Brentford the game where Chilino went in with the
away fans? Yes, he did.
Having a hot dog.
Yep.
Yeah, that was that.
What a man.
It's quite hard to make any kind of genuine prediction for this because the games, I mean, it's Monday now and the game's a week on Saturday. So, it could happen. We could have 3 great performances or 3 shite ones. But I'm just going to... We never win away at Brentford. So I'm going to take a shot that it's a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to agree with you. 1-1 draw.
I am going to go for a 1-0 defeat.
Fair dues.
Right.
I've been a bit pessimistic with these.
Yeah. and that would take us up to the international break, which, England have probably got friendlies against someone, but everyone will just be watching the Ireland game and stuff.
Yeah. No, I will.
Yeah. But yeah, that, unless anyone else has got out to bring up, I think that'll just about do us.
I think we've just about covered it, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we're all good.
All right, cool. Well, that's been episode 8 of the Mighty Whites podcast. We're at Mighty Whites Pod on Twitter. You can find the stuff we write on Through It All Together, which is at THRU It's All LUFC. There's been a few opinion pieces gone up there recently that are worth reading. We've kind of dropped off the writing stuff on his own website because the truth is our website is a glorified thing for running the podcast. If we come up with something that suits our podcast, we will write it on there. But we'll see what happens with that. We'll try and get back to it. At the minute, we've all been quite a bit busy. It's why we've been struggling to get podcasts out. But we've really appreciated the support that we've got recently, actually. We've had a lot more people getting in touch with us saying that they like the podcast and stuff, which makes us really pleased. If you do, a few of you have been on and doing it, I've noticed. If you could go on iTunes and give it a rating.
I've actually got a good way for people to do this.
Oh, yeah?
It's an idea I have completely stolen. We will give a shout out to anyone who leaves a 5-star review and can come up with the most random name of a Leeds player to leave it under.
Seems good to me.
Quickly, Kevin, come up with something.
I know, I wonder where that idea came from.
I wonder where you nicked that idea from. Oh, yeah, Connie, once we're done recording, I've got a podcast to recommend for you.
Right.
In fact, you're all football fans. Quickly, Kevin, will he score? The 90s football podcast with Josh Widdicombe. It's really good. You should listen to it.
Yeah, I do.
Did you say Jeff Widdicombe?
No, I said Josh Widdicombe.
All right,
said
fair
Jeff.
enough.
And if I did, then I was
think
thinking
that
of Jeff. Maybe I was thinking of big fat Jeff Winter.
Cracking referee.
God, I hated him. We always end up with a weird aside at the end. Can you remember the referee, Mike Reed, not the Radio 1 person?
Yes, I do remember.
The one who celebrated that Liverpool goal at Ellen Road?
Yep.
I think that's the most mad I've ever been at a referee.
Yeah. Arsehole.
Kevin Friend, I don't like him.
Oh, Kevin, friend.
Oh, fun.
You see, I think he's wronged us a few times.
Wonder if he's friends with George.
Maybe it's his dad. Despite him being about, 10 years apart.
Oh, friend.
Yeah. So, we're on our website, which is mightywhitespodcast.com. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on YouTube. We may well get the SoundCloud back up and running very soon. I got a bit annoyed at them because they were trying to rip us off, but I think I might have found a way around it. So they might all go up on SoundCloud in the next week. That's not a promise. If they try and rip me off again, I'll tell them to go fuck themselves. But thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you it'll probably be 3 weeks due to the international break. Bye.
See ya.
Yep. Sarah, no!